Alrighty, in case you're wondering, I just did a little talk about with everybody to see if they had new dialogue, and they don't. So that's checked. So at least didn't screw up there. I was worried that I've done enough things that maybe some of it triggered some new dialogue with someone. Somewhat disappointingly, like, I like CL, and I do feel like her story just ends the moment she dies and comes back to life. Like, everyone gets gommaged, and then they all come back. And then CL's like, whoa, I can save my brother, my husband now. Which is like a conclusion, and that's a conclusion to her story, basically. Which, like, it's a good development for her story, and a tragic, bittersweet thing for whatever relationship she and Verso apparently had. But then she just kind of never really says or does anything again, I think, for all of Act 3, which is a little rough. Especially since Verso was taking charge of the story so much in Act 2 that it already felt like a lot of the party was getting sidelined by Mael and Verso becoming so important in Act 2. So CL definitely gets set aside a bit narratively. Also, as far as why I romanced CL, I didn't even think about it. There's a certain level of heteronormative monogamy that I don't always think about in terms of straight people and video game storylines and so on. So I kind of don't always register the idea that, like, oh, CL wanted to fool around and I said yes. That, according for the straight writers of this game, they interpret that as meaning I want to enter a monogamous relationship with CL specifically, and I am now specifically choosing not to be in a relationship with Luna. So people wonder why I chose a relationship with CL or Luna, and they didn't. And what they didn't necessarily get is that I didn't know I didn't register it was a choice. I just happened to trigger CL's romance first and said yes because yeah, sure. Let the characters have some fun at the end of the world and whatever. I would have been fine with Verso having fun with both characters if they're fine with that too, and so on. Didn't even register until after it was too late that I was like, I'm supposed to be making like a monogamous choice between these two women as like a long-term relationship, and also because like people that have heteronormative relationships, like monogamy is the default, and in queer relationships, monogamy is not necessarily the default. It kind of has to be declared, and it's kind of an assumed thing in straight stuff. I just kind of lose track of that sometimes. I just kind of completely forget altogether. I'm like, oh, right. There's so many rules. And they have not been my lived experience for a long time, so I'm like, huh, all right. Not that I'm all that torn up because I'm not really. I think I like CL's personality slightly more than Luna, but it's like take him or leave him either way. It's like, which character should Verso flirt with for a bit? It's not the most impactful part of the game, I don't think.
Wait for us here. It's dangerous for you near Papa.
Interesting. This must be pre-rendered. Unless the costume setting got unchecked somehow.
We'll have to move fast. I can't maintain them for very long.
Is it the rest of Expedition 33? I never got a sense of how many people there were in it.
Tomorrow comes.
She's gonna have a hell of a time adapting to her old life when she gets back to it. It's gonna be a little surreal. Settings. Curious. Yeah, character customization. Yeah, that effect must have been too difficult to pay up because there's so many character models involved. It must have been too much to handle. I genuinely was a little bit like, wait, who's that? Because I haven't seen Verso's old hairstyle for so long since that story moment had us, had it swapped to it. It's like Minoko gave him a samurai hairstyle and I was like, yeah. It happened in a character moment, I'll keep it. Resting 5 seconds into this is a little funny. The music is swelling. We need to run up these steps. We can't waste time. Takes a nap. I went too fast and missed that bit, I think. This particular enemy is everywhere here, huh? Hello. Just a little color of Lumina here and there. Having a more officially sanctioned change in appearance is kind of nice, actually. If the costumes weren't as gimmicky, it'd be fun to like kind of have everyone's appearances evolve over time more. Just because that's like one of my favorite things of like seeing people go over like a whole journey, is seeing their appearance gradually shift over the course of the journey. Useful. Their hair gets longer or shorter. It's like you see a lot of this like in like the Walking Dead show. A perfectly normal trash can. In like the Walking Dead and other stuff, like you'll see the actors changing appearances year to year, not only aging but also like shifting hair lengths and so on. So many people had short hair at the beginning of Walking Dead and then like big manes by the end and so on. And that stuff's always neat. I think that Luna's crown is actually kind of legitimately neat. Wow, what happened? Did I mess up her crit chance again? I totally... Did I fuck up again? Well, let's check in a minute. I probably messed up her build again. I'm good at being bad at that. Oh my goodness. Damn. This is with 10 times the health. 10 times the health. Nothing resembling any kind of difficulty curve counts for you playing the side content, I guess. Wild. 10 times the health. Okay, it's not a boss, obviously, but whoa. 59. Oh god, I fucked up again. Okay. Actually might be able to get away with not using skills cost 1 less AP. We'll see. Sort by crit real quick. Pop alternating critical on there just for the crit. Good stuff. Glad I got to test that something goofed up, I guess. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Interesting shift in sound. Red. Oh. That was neat. The rooftops we were running along at the very beginning. I don't know if I'm going forward or backwards right now, actually. I thought the other place was the way I was supposed to go. But this looks like it's a whole ass thing, too. I guess I don't really care about checking dead ends and secrets at this point, because we're progressive-wise just, like, kind of done. And past the point of no return. Aside from maybe an audio log? Oh, this is actually the beginning. Give 2 AP on applying powerful. They're still giving new ones this late in. New and under-leveled ones. Level 16? I don't think I could have come here during the beginning of Act 3. I think that you only had a really limited area you could explore. That thing looks so much like the Star Beast from Elden Ring to me. I don't know if they're like ripping on a shared, like an even older thing, like if they're both referencing the same thing. Let's see, the challenge is set to 10 times. Wow. That's wild that I was mowing through them like that and they were set to 10 times normal health. Oh! The promenade or whatever. The big central area. Ooh. Is that us? Oh, they said the 32s. Oh, like next year's people. Alright, back to high crit. I guess I don't need the reduced AP anymore. I think that was... wow. I think that was more tied to me having... something equipped that was making me spend AP per hit. Which, that surprised me. I think when I read that skill, I thought it was going to cost you a bonus AP, like 1 extra AP for an attack to do more damage. But if it's per hit, then it like is spending a crazy amount of AP. So we're summoning facsimiles of somebody, and they're summoning the 32s. I wonder how official the expedition there even was. Oh yeah, it even says in the top right corner that the challenge is currently activated. I think it's going to take a boss fight before any of them can outlive Luna's opening combo. Or you, maybe. No, I already fought one of you. The fucking electric guitars losing their goddamn mind. Only do damage. Ow, wow. He's at the tower. Is that supposed to be dog noises? Am I gonna fight you finally? Isn't it beautiful here? Her paintings are always astonishing. Yet I wish she would understand. Understand what? Just what it means for me to paint. What do you mean? The boy has gone silent. I think I still don't understand what the deal is with some of these figures.
Interesting.
Oh. Because the other guy turned out to be the dad. Is this boy young Verso? Has the little boy that I've been talking to the whole game with no face always been Verso? Because both of the mothers are both of the parents, the mom and the dad, were both faceless characters. Being a stunned enemy goes gradient charge. But does that make them a third Verso? Because the real Verso died, and this is the painted Verso. I'm playing as him.
Lovely.
It's like, are the faceless characters more of like an afterimage left by their interferences? Angry. Hi. That's funny. They programmed the thingy wrong. Look at it. He crouches when he comes up the stairs because they didn't map it right for his character's height, so it thinks that it doesn't need to make the character become taller, but the mapping that affects where his feet collide is making. You guys send this video to Illusory Wall. The part that makes his feet collide with the stairs is changing, so it makes him walk around crouched. See here, when he goes up these stairs, he's standing up. Specifically on these stairs, they set it up wrong, so monsters don't have the same mapping as me, and so they don't know they're supposed to stand up on top of it, so they end up like crouch walking. That's funny. What up? Oh, didn't attack in time. It's hard to tell where their hitboxes are. Oh, gross, he's got a skull face. A chromatic eschasier. Oops.
Chroma is flowing. Meet your
Okay, this one's gonna take longer. Let's see. Oh, your elemental weakness is fire. That's bad news for you.
You're outmatched.
Oh, hey. Got him. Hadn't shot his actual glowy bit yet. And then break.
Void takes everything. This will hurt. Witness the flame.
At the end of this, the fire should kill you, probably. Oh, he's... Nope, it didn't. And he's stunned.
let the ink flow.
You survived a whole turn. Oh no! Amount of APs.
Maximum damage.
75% increased counterattack damage. Oh my god. Oh my god. And attack that, then you stack that with the other ones, and you just keep getting, you can have all of them at once. I kind of stopped relying on counters and pairing for the sake of consistency. It did become a thing where, like, I'm not necessarily... once I got more turns, it was less a thing of like, oh god, I need to do the counters just to have a chance. For a while there, I felt like if I wasn't doing counters, then I couldn't get damage in at all half the time because they had so many turns compared to me. While also being damage capped. So you just needed more damage sources in general. Remember when we could only do 9999 damage? Isn't that like fucking comical to think about now? Now when I shoot people, I do like 100,000 damage per shot. And then I do several other attacks. Playing the piano.
Good stuff.
Just a nice little moment. A big ass piano. Attack! No. I can go under it. Do 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 do.
Great.
New record to be at camp. That implies you'll ever be able to go to camp again. I wonder if the game just kind of like respawns you back in the post game once you beat the game. If it's like, if it like canonically, if the story will canonically let you just roam the painting afterwards, or if it'll be like, okay, the story is over, we're gonna put you back in the painting and not explain it, and just be like, have fun, play more if you want. Both could happen. Because plenty of game has gotten backlash for.
The Axon Islands. What are they doing here?
Like Axon's their papa's creations, not Claire's.
Well, I missed. Plenty of games have gotten some backlash for having a ton of side content, but then just ending when the story ends and not letting you keep going when you want to potentially do everything else.
Meet your reckoning.
Sad dog noises. Look at him, he looks so happy. He can't wait. He just likes to play. I sound like the owner that's like, oh, don't worry, he doesn't bite. Can't get me, can't get me, can't get me, ha 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 ha, hee 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 hee. My item, bye. Oh, recover 5% health on hitting a, oh. Was it a stun target? They got me.
Elements converge.
I think that her current situation is that she usually has enough AP to do both attacks in a row, but it's relying on some level of RNG where she has to get a specific thing to trigger that will cause the AP to happen. And if I don't get that lucky, then I might not have it. Because sometimes she can't do it, and sometimes she can. Ow, wow, wow. Ow, rah, 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 rah. Is that what they're doing? Is that the implication of him making those noises?
Maya, let's go.
And did they tell the voice actor that he's making dog noises, or did they just give him the lines and not explain them? And so he just went like, he went weirdly like horny with it. Like, oh, wow, wow. And I'm like, that's not, I don't know if that's the point of that line. Maybe I should continue. Maybe I should continue. Continue what? Forever. Forever. The boy has gone silent.
Lovely.
That did not come apart. Oh. Gonna take a steady hand to repaint this place. Oh, wow. That's interesting that they keep dropping old upgrade items here.
Interesting.
There are 2 levels of upgrade item that are stronger than that. So it's interesting that that's being put around as a reward here, of all places. After all the mess that's happening, I wish I was the only one curious enough to make the journey here. But this place is sad. For Bappa. Enchantment? Enchantment! No backup. Yeah. Thanks for the distraction. Now let me sell you the real goods. Yeah. I didn't want that one. Whoops. I mixed it up with the color of Lumina for a second there. Potirum volestirum. Oh wow, these are cheap. Wow, this is a really low level area. That's fascinating how explicitly this area is lower level than most of the end game. Full strength, 25% increased damage at full health. That's not bad. You can afford to put it on anybody. Yep. Yeah. Like, I know there's somebody in the audience who's like, I've been yelling that at you the whole game, but like, it is wild that most of Act 3, if you go by the scaling of the items and the loot and so on, it's just like explicitly way higher level than the ending. That's fascinating. You think they would just make an Act 4? Like, not a literal one, but like, you think they would just put actual post-game content in some kind of post-game, and not in the actual progression of the main game, if their goal was for it to be played so much later. I'm fascinated by that. Most of the vendors I've been talking to sell 1 to 200,000 currency items. And these ones are for 30? That's crazy. You're crazy. Oh, we have 18. Straight. Is that from Silent Hill, I think? Double third. Let's give her 10 points. And then we will equip whatever I just got. Whatever it was called. Longer shell. Oh man. I can't hold things like this in my head for 30 seconds half the time, so I'm just like, I really do have to just write down both words so I don't lose track of them. Full strength, that's what it was called. 75 increased counter damage is crazy. Oh no, our crit's at 93. Okay. Insane that this has max health reduced to 1. Alternating critical is my highest crit? Well, having 1 health is one way to have full crit. This is a bad idea. Going in with Luna having 1 health. Did she get any levels? No. So if I could have given her a bit more crit the old-fashioned way, maybe I could put it over the top. Hello. This is conspicuous.
Well, that will help.
Floating? It's a 2D image? Huh. Surreal. It's a crazy looking statue. I wonder why they made the orb in the middle be literally 2D though. It kind of looks like it was drawn on in Sharpie. Let's see, we can do better than this. Go back to alternating critical. She doesn't have exactly 1 health. Currently has 93% crit rate, so we need to be able to get her to 100. Suspend a recoat since they're free. Max up my agility. Oh. Let's see if they match first. 55%. 55%. Okay. Does this affect my crit rate? It does. Okay, there we go. Oh, I leveled up my agility first instead of my defense. Whoops. When defense is the one that actually is the S rank. I just got so used to looking at A rank the whole game. Whoops. Alright, so now should have 100% crit rate. There we go. So we don't have to use anything as gimmicky as the 1 to get our crit rate back to 100%, so her build works. But now she should be 25% stronger at full health.
Matt, we need to defeat them fast.
And she spends a lot of time at that amount of health. At the very least, she should open fights there. Have I ever been here before? Radiant fighter, 25% increased damage with gradient attacks. They're just like hiding them right here at the end. I guess you could still grind enough to memorize it. Just like right at the last second. It almost tells me like these are the abilities that are too powerful to give you during the main game. You can only have them for the final boss. And I'm like, have you seen the optional bosses? There's something slightly unhinged feeling about the idea that there are new optional abilities that are unlocked in this level specifically. Hello?
Good stuff.
They keep putting recoats in those. Oh. Falling Star Beast is back. 3 of you.
Well, that will help.
It's really messing with me like in a shave and a haircut kind of way where it so much sounds like that one other song, but then keeps not continuing to the rest of the song. Do 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 do.
Your father's been extra inspired.
Let's not give him too much credit. I've seen all these enemies before. Unless they're supposed to be unique to here, in which case, whoops. You might have goofed that up. That is maybe the weirdness of giving us access to Renoir's drafts before this, is we got to see all these enemies already there at the very least. Always play twice in a row, but deal 50% less damage. Faster than strong. Huh. No, I don't think I will. I already have Cheater, so that's just a useless Picto, I guess. It's just shittier Cheater. So they give you a version of Cheater for free, I guess. You get to take more actions, sort of have an interesting time there.
Papa's over there. And the chroma we need to bring back Lumiere.
Even I can sense him. We'd better make sure we're ready.
The whole game was always leading up to the Eiffel Tower. This truly is the Frenchest game I've ever played. Here he is here, doing what needs to be done. What I can't do anymore. What needs to be done? For my sake and theirs. The boy has gone silent. Let's see. For 9 points, I should pick out something else for something to equip. Maybe Verso, because there's always like another kind of attack one to switch to. Alphabetical point cost active in favorites? What? What happened to the other categories? What? Didn't there used to be more categories like attack and defense and so on? They're like somewhat dubiously categorized, but like they were there, I think. Did they take them out? It's a little weird. Increased break damage on burning enemies. That's pretty good. I think I have reasons to give him 5 points. Okay, increased break damage against slowed enemies. I don't want to spend too much time navigating the menu, but I think I also made him slow people with his attacks. So I think all of these things just keep having a big branching series of benefits that all stem from the attack bonuses, which is very funny. They make it like, oh, when you attack, these effects happen, and these things trigger these bonuses, these buffs and these debuffs, and these things, and also bonus attacks and so on. And then you're like, oh well. Also, you get a bonus because anybody that has any of those negative effects, and those, like, it's which bonuses do you get? Oh, like 4 different bonuses. Oh, okay. And then all those things keep expanding, and then all those other things also. And you're like, Jesus Christ, all I'm doing is attacking over and over again. How are they letting me make it this powerful? Fascinating. Renoir, you seem to be standing at the end of a witness puzzle. Big circle. I'm just saying, you go. If I line up the background just right, maybe it continues all the way up until there. Oh, that'd be so cool. People even remember the witness. It's been a decade. It's been a decade. You're old.
Papa?
Alicia.
Please, I just want you to understand what this canvas means to me.
I do understand. I know how powerful and intoxicating it is. How deeply attached we can become to the worlds we pour our hearts and souls into. I was enthralled, and it nearly killed me.
Doesn't mean you have to erase Verso's canvas.
Child, do you think I want to? After all the sorrows we've endured, do you really think that I want to destroy this last piece of his soul?
Then don't.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices. We do what we must.
Grief often blinds us, and we make choices we can never take back.
You grieve for 2.
I grieve for many.
Dick?
The choices of parents leave indelible marks upon their children. But ultimately, the voices in their head have to be their own. You cannot set the boundaries of their life for them.
After the fire, you wanted me to find new joy in life. And I tried. But I couldn't. Verso died because of me. How do I get from that to joy?
Child, it will get better, I promise you. But this is not the way. Your friends speak truth. And it changes nothing. You can hate me. But that's a choice I must make. As your father, I must look out for you. Especially when you can't look out for yourself.
You treat me as if I'm still 5!
I treat you as if the shadow from the worst day of our lives is going to suffocate you and take you from us too!
Damn.
Enough. I said enough.
Well, thank you for talking with us instead of immediately decapitating the first person you met like you did the first time I met you. I guess that wasn't you, though. That was the other you. That was the you that was the surprise villain. Instead of the Paintress, they were like, oh, damn, there's something more serious going on. But then the Paintress actually was the real villain. But then it turned out that neither of them are the real villain because the real you is the real villain. And now the real you is the real villain. But it's also in the way where it's just sad because it's blurring the line. It's that blurry line between a parent trying to do what's best where it starts to look like abuse and you can't tell what the boundary is and sometimes no one can. Especially since the narrative is so abstract that it's hard to apply the idea of morality to it. Okay, this has to be phase 1, right? I gave him 10 times health and I still just got half his health in one go. Damn. If this is, it has to be more phases because it's the final boss, right? But I do feel like the whole difficulty multiplier thing would be more effective if it had a recommendation of what multiplier to use based on how strong it thinks you've gotten or how many or which bosses you've beaten so far. There's got to be a system for that. Because I just kind of had to make a gut guess. In any other situation, you would think multiplying health by 10 times would potentially be overshooting it by quite a bit, and that could really have some consequences there. Like, that could have sucked. But now I'm like, oh man, did I underdo it? Maybe phase 1's easy. He's not taking damage anymore. He stopped taking damage. It's fake. I'm just shooting him for fun now. Look at me go. Look at me go. Oh, no, stopped at 40. Nope, I got 2 more. 42 shots, yeah. 43 according to augmented aim. If that one is... Oh, 2 more. Oh, I missed. No!
Danger.
Cyrene rescues Renan. Oh, that's... You're here. Rude.
Stop this insanity. It's time to go home.
So he created the Visages, and the Visages are here.
I do love a challenge, but this is beginning to irk me.
Fuck. He keeps regenerating.
Maybe we focus on the axons first.
Miles acting winded when she didn't have a turn yet. not the galaxy butthole.
No, she can't.
Clair, I assume. That looks Gomaji.
Mama.
You're going to kill yourself. It's too soon for you to return to any canvas.
Is the Paintress going to take out the Visages? Axons. One of them was called Visages. Kaiju War. So now he won't regenerate unless the other one shows up to do. He's still burning.
You selfish Aline.
This seems guilt trippy. Oh. Its insides is glowing. Oh, the fire went away too. I wonder what this even means? Oh, it's got 3 buffs. That's probably not good.
Elements converged. Let the ink flow.
No. I'll need to heal. And also if I get to 3, then I'll have... Then Mael will use that power, and I want that to happen. Because that's fun. Also, I built her for it, so it'd be nice if it triggered once. If you can live long enough for that. Oh. Wow, okay. Those were hard to judge. These stumbling animations are just the death of me with this build. Yep, 3 charges. There's probably a phase 3, so I probably want to beat it right now, and then have Alicia's, have Mael's turn start in phase 3. At which point she'll absorb the charges to do like plus 200% damage. Yep, his health won't empty again. Even the 1,000,000 damage didn't count. Damn. Oh, did you win? That's not that much experience. Huh. Is it actually the end? I guess I should have gone for 100 times health. Which feels a little overkill.
Ironic. Your mother was the one who saved me when I lost myself in a canvas. She taught me how to safely use our gift. How to soar without flying too close to the sun. We painted hundreds of canvas worlds, pushing the very boundaries of creation. And she never let me forget that every day we spent here has a price. Yet, here we are now.
So trust her. If she's doing this, then...
I trust what she taught me. This is not a game. You think think you know what's at stake, that you don't.
I know precisely what's at stake. You want control. You want to feel like you're doing something. You couldn't save Verso, so you want to save us. Except you're not. Destroying the canvas won't help us move on. It'll just deny us the one place that helped us feel again.
67 years. 67 years I spent trapped within the monolith. But I persisted. I persisted. Do you know why? Do you know why I cannot leave her or you behind? This is what I see every day. I cannot spend another day with living corpses. Since the fire, our family has crumbled. Aline in the canvas. Clair fighting a solitary war. You, a living ghost. Verso's death broke us. Want it to be fixed. I need it to be fixed. I cannot lose you too.
Don't you see? That's how I feel about them. I can't lose them either. I've lost too much. Papa, see? I've lost so much.
We both lost so much.
Papa, I don't want to lose you either. I'm not leaving you forever. Just a little longer.
I want to trust you, but
you can.
keep the light on for you. I hope you find peace. Hold on to each other. I'm sorry.
Wait, can he do that? I'm not sure what's happening in here. But you get the sense that the consequences might be that he can't go back. There's the kid. time to stop painting.
You're tired of painting, aren't you? I'm tired too.
That's... You shouldn't be able to be here.
Lamont's gift.
Why did you run in? It's dangerous for you here.
See things as they are. Not how you want them to be.
What?
You lied to your father.
No.
He saw it too. But he wanted to believe. You're going to die here. Why don't you just leave? You can always come back.
The moment I leave, Papa will erase this canvas.
This is not worth your life.
What life? My life of loneliness in a shell of a body, with no voice and no future.
You're my Elle. No matter where you are, you don't need this canvas.
But everything I want is here. Here I have a chance to live, Verso to live. Out there I merely exist.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices.
Stop quoting Papa!
It's time to stop painting.
Verso! Papa also said, hold on to each other.
Old friend, you've traveled miles, spinning in circles. Your blind eyes on the dial, stripping
I'm sorry.
out colors. But it's time to say goodbye until next life.
Decide the fate of the canvas. Ah. Wow, a choice. That's surreal in this genre. Huh. Was not expecting to have a choice to be made here. You're also no it's wild. I don't think there is a right answer necessarily. Verso has been quietly and sadly watching on like he knows better. And it seems like they're admitting that Mael is lying and that she's not ready to let go. and she might not let go, and she might just stay here and avoid reality forever. But this reality is full of people. Like, these are, like, as far as we're supposed to think that Verso and Luna and Ciel are people, and that they're real on some level, and that it's like cruel to kill them and wipe them out. But Mael staying here might be self-destruction. But also Verso's goal is literally self-destruction. He has repeatedly resigned himself to his death, and he has been completely stalwart in that position the entire game. He has been trying to kill himself the entire story. His goal was to end the Paintress, and then he secretly knew the whole time that the Paintress was actually the thing protecting everybody, and that actually the father was going to kill everyone, and the Paintress was holding them back and making it so that he only got through a bit each year. And he quietly sat there and waited to die when it happened, because he knew that all along, and didn't warn anybody, and just let that betrayal descend upon everybody. So he thinks that he knows better for Mael, but also for all the people around him that trusted him. Like, Ciel and Luna are just wrong to trust Verso, because he will actually, and he actually did betray them to die, and is doing it again right now. He genuinely is just using them. I think it might be true that he does care about the expeditioners and all the different people, and that's why, and makes him sad, but he still does think that he's the one making the tough choices, like the father, and he's actually aligned with him the whole time, which is wild, because he's kind of our perspective he's our main character. Mael is the protagonist of the story, but the main character is Gustav, and then he dies, then Verso functionally replaces him as the main character. He's like sort of the perspective character for a lot of the story. And then he's framed front and center. So it's wild to continually remind ourselves that, like, oh right, all the stuff we're fighting for, and then once again, the entire time our main character is on the same side as the father, and wants the same things as him, which is the destruction of himself and the canvas and everybody we know in the story, in order to save Mael. It'd be nice if he could try convincing the other people to want that. Instead, you're asking Ciel to give up on ever seeing her husband again. And I can't help but think about this in like mist terms again, like these entire worlds with realities with people that mattered. It's our entire perspective of the stories. They're asking you to step outside the perspective of the entire story to imagine a greater good for a setting that we haven't even spent time in, and characters that we barely know. We know that we've known the real Clea and the real Mammon for like a few minutes each. And a bit longer for the dad. So we pretty much just know Mael. And then the painted world. So you're destroying the world that we've been invested in the entire game. I genuinely don't know what the more popular choice is here. Huh. I also think Verso is somewhat selfish in that I think he frames it as saving Mael and these other things, but I think he also has this overwhelming guilt for being this strange copy of the dead boy, and thinks that he's doing something to the others. He thinks that he's harming them, and he's kind of defined by that guilt, and so he seeks self-destruction as absolution. But it's not necessarily fair. And I think about how, like, he was upset when he didn't get to say goodbye. Like, it's just, he's kind of a hypocrite in every possible way throughout a lot of this. He was upset when we killed Alicia, I think that was her name, I'm so sorry, it's been a while now since that part, the real Mael. Like, when we killed the painted Alicia, and he didn't get to say goodbye, he was upset about that. And now he's trying to inflict that on everyone he knows here, and everyone that they care about. But then we also have this additional element of, like, who the fuck is this boy who is tired of painting? What are we doing to him? Are they hitting us with the goddamn, like, ones who walk away from Omelas fable? Where, like, you can have this entire paradise, but it completely depends on the suffering of one child who suffers forever in order to make that setting possible. And that whenever somebody, and that there's the people who are the ones that walk away from Omelas are the ones that discover that that impossible and horrible truth, and they refuse to be complicit in a society that inflicts that kind of harm, so they leave. And it's a metaphor for a billion different things. Does the suffering of this painter justify destroying the painting? I don't know. I don't fully get what his deal is and how bad things are for him and what this means for him. So that's heavy and confusing. There's just so many things to consider. This is a stressful choice. I think on some level I just don't trust Verso to be a reliable person for making decisions. He's a traitorous liar this entire game that manipulates people and thinks he knows better for them just like the father does, and it's kind of hard to get behind any of that. Whereas Mael still can make the choice to leave the canvas and make healthier decisions and still can be reached. But yes, like, she's ultimately framed as being the same as the Paintress, with the same motivations and the same struggles and the same inability to leave. But she's also like 16. All right, prick. That's a lot more than 10 times the health that you had a minute ago.
Verso, stop! You can't just decide this for everyone!
We're all hypocrites, doing the same thing to each other.
Void, take everything.
Please. Thank you. Stop him from painting.
Don't say that. Please. Don't say that.
Hey, please, listen to me. Only you can do this. You can do this, please. Unpaint me. Unpaint me.
So...
Please. I don't want this life.
Stop saying that.
I don't want this life. I don't want this life.
I just wanted to live this lifetime together. This lifetime that was stolen from us. Please. Bro. Please.
I don't want this life. Help me. Help me.
Would you find a reason to smile?
They had Bouncer Monoko in the suit. This child's face scares me a little bit. Oh, her husband's back. Oh, there they are. I was about to ask, like, why not bring Gustav back? God, black and white can make CG look insanely real. It was pre-rendered. The logo fading in was clearly artifacted, so I was like, oh, okay, that's why this looks next level real. There's only like a couple of those, I think. That's wild. So you pick that you pick that route and you do successfully accomplish the goal you set out at the beginning of the game. You not only stop the gommage, you undo the gommage. Everyone that died presumably comes back, including people that didn't even die to the gommage. Gustav was killed by her father, Or the painted version of her father. Wow, that's confusing to think about sometimes. And I guess he must be over it. I guess somewhat to... I was going to say somewhat to his credit, a lot of these people haven't met this guy. But I'm like, no, I think a lot of them actually have met him. So they had to do some forgiving, didn't they? Considering how many of them he might have killed. But you save every single named character that you've ever heard of. And you have to kill Verso to do so. And then no one in your family is happy about it. I wonder if Mael's painted form was failing, or if that's just what her father sees. Because yeah, the real Mael is a burn victim. I think she's missing an eye and can't speak. So there is a disability angle to the whole thing, where her being in here lets her live as herself before the accident, not only reenacting the family and so on and the happiness, but also like reenacting, bringing back a version of her body she can never have again in reality. It's a very difficult thing to face, which might make it harder for her even. Not to compare traumas between her and her mom. Her mom lost a son, and that's a lot, but she lost a brother, and she has been permanently changed at a young age. I feel like I could have had a little bit more from the supporting cast, or the main crew, really. But in the finale, everyone gets really sidelined. Luna and Ciel have like one line each, basically. Monoko and Eskie basically don't speak at all, and so it really is just Renoir, Mael, and Verso, which kind of leans further towards the idea that they're the only people who are real, and everyone else is sort of a figment, like a simulation. Because there is like a thing of trying to interrogate if people are really people and so on, and like whether or not this is like some sort of upsetting, like slightly ironic to bring this up, like for example, like the if it's like an AI recreation of a dead person. It is and that part is upsetting, like the part of Verso specifically being based on the real Verso. But the version of the painting that Mael now has does not feature any of her painted family members. We defeated Clea, Maman, Renoir, and even Alicia. And now Verso. So it's just Mael and a bunch of people that have never existed before, that are just their own individuals and seem to be people. I mean, she lived with Gustave for over a decade, and they seem to genuinely have a real relationship. It's rough, it's vicious to like ask her to let go of that, even though from other people's perspective it doesn't seem real. Like from Clea's perspective, Mael just fell into the painting, and I assume the painting has like a accelerated time scale where you spend more time in the painting than you do in real life, because I imagine that in real life they have normal mortal lifespans, and in the painting this story took place over the course of over 100 years, and even as history before then, which is I guess the version of the world that Verso created. And yeah, there's something worthwhile in the idea of maintaining this, as I said, like this last piece of Verso's soul, even if it doesn't need to literally be the person that was forced to live as a copy of Verso, which is cruel in its own way. But like the painting itself is a remainder of that person, the way that like your grandfather may have left behind a diorama when he died that he made, and it fills up a quarter of a room and might be inconvenient in some ways, but it's like this thing to behold. He made this whole world, and there was a cruelty to like the fact that it had so many layers of meaning and significance to the people, and it was being ripped apart one strip at a time, like somebody ripping a page out of a phone book one at a time, very slowly until the entire thing comes apart, was how they were like stripping it of its people. That's upsetting. Yeah, I think they've managed to create a morally and emotionally messy enough story that I don't think there is the cleanest answer for which one you would want to pick at the end. So I'm curious to see what people say in the comments on what they picked and so on, or if there's any kind of like percentage breakdown of how it goes. If I was them, I'd probably do the Silent Hill F thing too, where you just like, no matter what, you kind of imply something upsetting in either ending, just to sort of live with the fact that like in real life you don't get clear answers and you make difficult decisions, and then you just live with the fact that that's the decision you made and the other one can never be made now, and that inherently has this opportunity cost that can be gutting from all the things it could mean. They very specifically didn't let her smile at the end. She was just on the edge. In fact, it felt like it might have even been evocative of the, little bit like the Mona Lisa, of like that not quite expression, that very intermediate fixating, like just staring at a woman's face, and it's like on the edge of making an expression that you're waiting for her to make. And then there's a real dog named Monoko. So Verso's dog's named Monoko after a real life a dog named Monoko, and then Monoko's named after Verso's dog and or the real Monoko. That's funny. Look at all them credits. Not that long as far as the actual human names go. A reminder that this is like some kind of AA studio. Definitions are messy. It is wild to me that this game was winning and then was disqualified from Indie Game Awards, because I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if I can agree to almost any definition of this being an indie company. It doesn't feel like it's true to the spirit. They might embody some of the indie spirit in their approach, but I'm like, man, it's a bunch of ex-Ubisoft developers making a game that's very expensive with a lot of people working on it, and as far as I can tell, on any given storefront, they have a listed publisher that is a different name than the people developing the game, so it seems like they're not indie if they have a publisher, I think? I just genuinely wonder how people define indie. Is there like a very specific list of which publishers count as indie and which one don't? Because like, I do think people tend to call Devolver Digital indie and Annapurna Interactive indie, and those are both publishers of a bunch of indie games. So like, by some definitions, people would say those aren't indie developers because their games are published by a publisher instead of self-published. But we're not really interested in rocking the boat there because we're like, this game's made by like 5 people. They're indie, right? I'm like, how many people worked on Outer Wilds? Which was produced by Masahiro Oka, Masahiro Oda? I forget his name exactly. The lead actor of Heroes, with probably a bit of a nest egg there. And then you get to like indie darlings Braid and Witness are developed by Jonathan Blow, who I think is just independently rich and was able to fund those in his own way. But one guy being rich probably doesn't generally compare to any level of studio staff, so who knows. My controller turned off because of all the cutscenes. There we go. Dare I see what happens if you load your game? Does the game judge you? Oh. It loaded the game on the wrong monitor. I don't know if you guys can see this, because it's on my left monitor. But to answer my own question, it loads me back before the boss fight, which I guess makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and quit, I think. And call it there. That was weird. I don't know why hitting the load save button would change what monitor the game's currently running on. That's super weird behavior. But yeah, that was Clair Obscur. Extremely cool and impactful story. Pretty solid gameplay that has strange structural implications. And Act 3, I don't know what to do with. It'll be interesting to see if people even like the series after Act 2 ends, and then I spend so long getting to the finale, which apparently it will probably just be one episode, because it was not quite long enough for 2 episodes, really. Like, I spent all of that time procrastinating on a really fast ending, as it turned out, which is weird to think about. It's a good ending. I'm not sure it benefits from being padded out by so many dozens of hours of side content, but at the same time, some of that side content I feel really does benefit from being included, and it would be weird not to be included. You know what I mean? Like, the parts where you say goodbye to Clea and Alicia and so on, like, moments like that are good. Finishing each person's personal dialogue. Like, I know people who beat the game by finishing Act 2 and then going straight to Lumiere. They didn't even know that there was dialogue with the NPCs, with your party members, to like, that there was several more layers of bonding, because the game's structure had so far been done in a way where that's not how it worked. And specifically, when you finish Act 2, and then you finally return to the status quo of having your party members be alive again, it then puts you in camp with your party members, and you have like a mandatory dialogue scene, which does not trigger any of the Bond dialogue. And then you have to leave that scene, and they say, go to Lumiere. So at that point, you would reasonably think that you're all out of story content and that you're all out of Bond content, because the game literally just had you talking to everyone in camp, and you didn't trigger any of those interactions. You triggered completely different interactions, and then you had to leave. You couldn't just like talk to them again to trigger Bond stuff. So I know multiple people who never finished the individual storylines of their own party members, because the game's structure got so weird in Act 3 that they didn't even know that that was on the table. And like, it's interesting because like, it's probably really impactful and interesting and cool to go straight to the ending, maybe with a couple stops after the end of Act 2, because it maintains a certain level of momentum, and it was clearly your goal. Like, the tone definitely gets a little weird if you're going on so many side adventures, and maybe even more so when you go to Verso's drafts and you're just having a whimsical, silly time. And even Verso seems to just be having fun. It does make it a little harder to accept the idea of Verso being like, I don't want this life, I don't want this life, I don't want this life. Like, it's such a grim ending, and I think it makes more sense right after the end of Act 2. Because right after the end of Act 2, that's when Verso had already committed to dying, and sat there and let it happen with a sense of begrudging relief or something, and then you made him come back to life. Alicia forced the reality, this painting to exist again against his will, and here he finally got the chance to leave, but he does not exist with much complaint for all of Act 3. No matter how many dozens of hours you spend exploring, it's like, it's fine. He doesn't act like he's being tortured by Alicia at all. So it kind of messes with the tone a bit compared to if you just go straight there. If you go straight there, then it creates a situation where it feels really... there's a lot of continuity, like it matches the tone of the previous bit, where it's like, he just tried to die a minute ago. Of course, that's where he was mentally. And of course, he's going to try to betray everyone just like he did a second ago. Like, that all makes sense. And it makes his relationship with Ciel a bit grim from that perspective, because he doesn't confide in her about any of this stuff. He just tries to kill her, basically. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Just like with the difficulty curve, there's a refusal to curate the experience for the audience, which is rough because the audience doesn't know what the game is shaped like or what the story is going to be becoming like in the future. So they don't know how to best curate the experience to have the best emotional arcs or difficulty curve either. So it feels like a strange abdication of responsibility. But I'm also of the mind that there are benefits to linearity that a lot of people refuse to acknowledge because it became a buzzword, like open world is good and non-linear is good. People like choices and being able to do different things and so on. I'm like, there's a lot about Clair Obscur that would benefit from a certain level of linearity. Maybe like hub-based linearity of like getting to certain areas and having the chance to optionally engage more with the funny brush people and everything. But overall, having a more specific experience of what order you're supposed to experience things in and which things are worth experiencing, and maybe just some restraint on trimming a lot of the stuff that maybe just doesn't need to be there, like insane levels of repetition of enemies, zones that don't add a lot to the story but just kind of give you dozens of more hours of running around, which you won't know if they pay off in an interesting way or if they're compelling until after you've already put the time in, and then you can judge retroactively whether or not you think it was a good time spent, but at that point it's too late. And like stuff like the Endless Tower, I think benefits from the idea of being a bonus mode. Like we used to have games that would be more comfortable having a bonus mode that's in a separate menu, and you could load your save in that separate menu to like do a weird arcadey nonsense mode that were like a boss rush and so on, using the save that you beat the story with, for example. I think there was a fair number of games on the Game Boy Advance kind of era. I think that was a kind of a common-ish thing like 20 years ago, was games where you would beat the game and you'd make a save file, and then you could like load that save in a bonus side thing to like use the heroes you trained up to like do special challenges, or maybe even battle your friend via a link cable, like sort of like external modes that would make more sense as being like, oh, I want this to be a fun challenge mode with a bunch of content, because that makes more sense. Like, okay, I beat Clair Obscur, here's a wacky arcade mode where I can like fight increasingly hard bosses and just kind of spend more time in the combat system, but not in a way that fucks up your progression of the main save. And also, since it's completely separated from the main campaign, you're not sitting there wondering if there's going to be any like narrative payoff or if this is the best way to spend your main playthrough. And that kind of just makes its own sense. Almost like the mercenaries modes, I think they're called in the Resident Evil games, are like an arcade time attack action oriented bonus mode. Like bonus modes are underrated and should be in games more, both because they're fun replay value for people that really like the game, and they let the developer have certain ideas be expressed more cleanly by curating them from the core experience so that people don't engage with them thinking that it's part of the completionist experience of playing the normal linear campaign and then kind of fuck up that whole thing. I don't know. Like I gave it a go at trying to curate the end. I could have just gone in blindly and then been like, oh, that's weird how it was so easy. It's weird that the final boss is so easy in a game that has side content, because it makes it feel like they don't want you to play side content, but they put it there for you to play, and you bought the game to play it. So like, why wouldn't you play the content that you bought? So like, I could just complain about that, but I actually did take the extra level of curation and use the challenge mode to multiply health by 10. By 10! That's a huge amount. Wasn't even remotely enough. I apparently should have multiplied everyone's health by 100. Me just exploring the map a bit made me 100 times stronger than the intended player that just went from straight through the story. That's wild. Oh God. What did they do? Yeah, I have no idea what the intended experience is there. Wild. I definitely wonder if would have been more fun to just play the story linearly and not divert at all. But I definitely, like, the people that did that definitely missed out on stuff and don't know what they missed out on. apparently there's like guides. People have like Nuzlocke recommendations, which is a bit of a bad sign because Nuzlocke recommendations partly happen because Pokemon games are so easy that when you're playing the intended experience, you often just kind of end up one-shotting everything by just knowing elemental weaknesses, and then the whole game is trivial. More so than newer games. Like, the more sequels they make, the more easy each one seems to get. I watched Stephanie play Pokemon Sword here on the channel. I just kind of hung out while she played it because she likes Pokemon. And she was really disappointed by how easy the game was. And we weren't, like, really grinding all that much and so on. So, like, Nuzlocke challenges are a thing that people do in Pokemon audiences to, like, create a new challenge mode that makes you interact with the systems in a more granular and intense way. And that idea is definitely interesting. And from that perspective, this game, I've heard of there being guides, like, for example, one of the suggestions is to never use a single color of Lumina, which means that your entire Lumina budget is just what level you are. Because I think you get 1 Lumina point per level, which is obviously hilariously limiting. Like, Cheater costs 40 Lumina. So basically, if you unlock Cheater at all, which might be impossible if you're that weak, I don't know. I don't remember who gave me Cheater anymore. You'd basically equip it on one person with the physical Picto, and that would be the only person who gets that ability, because the Luminas you'd only have up about 100 Lumina total, and probably not that many because you probably aren't hitting the level cap. So you probably have to beat the entire game, slowly rising to the insane heights of like 60 Lumina per character. Would probably be your experience, and that is quite a budget. That is interesting. It might be really interesting to engage with playing the game on expert while everyone only has the number of Lumina that is their current level, and you never use a single color of Lumina, and you have to just make the system work within that. That might be an interesting experience. I'm not going to replay the whole game to test it, but it's interesting that people have sort of solutions about how to balance the game. It does also kind of correctly identify the fact that I also was pointing out that I'm like, yeah, the Lumina system is hilariously unbalanced. Like, the fact that you get so many points, but the fact that it's an item you can use on anybody, like, especially since you can spam them on one character and give them like 600 Lumina, is terrifying. That's a terrifying level of a character being overpowered in a way where you can just dump some characters to make other characters hyper overpowered and so on. And apparently there's a farm that people found. So there's a few different ways to farm Lumina, which means that if you have the patience, and maybe even dozens of hours, you might be able to just give every single character every ability you want to equip on them all at once, which is terrifying. That's overkill. But yeah, it might be interesting to play with a Lumina cap, because that would mean that you have to like choose really specific things to power up your characters and be really limited because of how many things cost like 10 or 15. Something costing 15 would be approximately 25% of your end game cap for Lumina, basically, which is wild. I don't have that level of restraint. For one, there's no real. It's a self-imposed challenge mode, obviously. Like, it's a restraint is overdoing it a little bit, but I mean, like, they're the reward. Getting that stuff is the reward for exploring and doing stuff and playing the game. They're put everywhere to reward you for doing stuff. So, like, there's something inherently antithetical to that. It's like running around and doing all the shrines in Breath of the Wild and then not turning in any of them and just keeping them as a giant pile of currency and never getting more heart pieces. And I'm like, well, then why am I doing it? It's structured around that reward. So much of Zelda is based around you going around and doing little side quests or exploring or noticing a little environmental puzzle and getting a heart piece out of it. You're like, da-da-da-da, and you're like, oh my god, a heart piece. There's only so many of those in the whole game. That's such a valuable, cool thing. You feel so good every time you get a heart piece. It's like getting Color of Lumina and then not spending them is a valid approach to moderating the difficulty curve, but it is like a tragic one, both for the design of the game and for your player experience, because rewards become unrewards, and then entire categories of things that you're picking up don't count as things you would ever want to pick up. Like, as much as the Pictos were overdone in that there was too many of them over the course of too long of a game, the Pictos you get, they're all enticing, at least for a moment, where you're like, that might do something for someone. That might be good for one of my characters. Curious about that Lumina. Curious about that Picto and who might equip it. Like, they're on average more enticing than weapons in like Dark Souls, where the majority of them you'll never use. There's so much this game does right, but the handful of things that it gives you too much freedom on really just make the whole game so uncertain and strange. So it's no surprise. It swept awards everywhere, but for me, when I did my Game of the Year ranking on my third channel, it made like 5th place, which is high. I think I played like 50 games or something. It's a good game, but there definitely are a bunch of games that hit harder. And I didn't even play Silksong this year. Maybe Silksong also places higher than Clair Obscur when I play it. I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot I liked about Hollow Knight. My biggest complaint about all of Hollow Knight is just the fact that the enemies in Hollow Knight, you'll be in the middle of a boss fight and they have all these telegraphed attacks. Like, I'm swinging my sword, I'm doing a combo pattern, I'm dashing across the screen, and they're all like telegraphed in patterns. But sometimes I'll just take one step to the left or the right or something with no warning and just bump straight into you and you take damage from them walking into you. And I'm like, that's not an attack. That's not fair. And they'll do that so abruptly. And in a game where you have to fight with melee, in Hollow Knight 1, you were pretty much only in melee the whole time, and the characters could so you have to be within a certain sweet spot of standing close enough to attack them. And those dicks could just walk straight into you and damage you without doing a real attack. And I'm like, that's not fair. It's one thing if I run into you being dumb, but the fact that you walking counts as an attack and you can do it so abruptly is just really cruel. That really got to me. But overall, I loved Hollow Knight, so I'm looking forward to Silksong. The people that have been wondering where the fuck it is, I have not avoided Silksong, although this finale might air in like February or May or March or something, so maybe I have started playing Silksong by now. I don't know. It's just there's too many fucking games. One of them was this. This game was long. Multiple playthroughs of Silent Hill F. That was long. A lot of games have been long. And there's just so many video games at the end of the year. I spend most of the next year catching up with the holiday season of the previous year. I feel like Q4 is a nightmare for video games. But yeah. Thanks for watching that, guys. And hey, I liked a JRPG. If you count it as one. Which people dispute. I think it's a little silly to dispute, insisting that it has to be Japanese to be a JRPG. I know it's in the title, but I'm just like, it's like a genre, it's a style of game. And if you do go by that, maybe it's a bit iffy to think about the fact that my two of the JRPGs that I have specifically liked in recent years are both not Japanese. Clair Obscur and Small Saga, both for different reasons. Talking about curated linear experiences. Check out Small Saga if you like JRPG combat and so on. I love Small Saga because it's a furry. Was it pixel art or was it painted? I think it was pixel art. It's a furry turn-based RPG that is like all story and boss fights. Like you spend a fair amount of the game in combat, but instead of being a sprawling 70-hour nightmare game, it's like 10 or 20 hours or something, and every single fight in the game is a unique boss fight or encounter that like has story significance and even like a puzzle-like aspect to it of like you sussing out what the stakes are this time and what kind of stuff this guy's up to and how you should interact with that with your party and so on, while having a meaningful story playing out the whole time that's really dramatic and well-paced and really interesting and so on. It was really cool. And it's evidence 500 that I do in fact like turn-based combat. That's not my problem with JRPGs at all. It's just the popular design ethos of every JRPG I've played for a long time now has been just nails on a chalkboard. Primarily just the insane amount of repetition and the low difficulty and the just the constant trash mobs. I don't like fighting the same trash mobs over and over again because I'm like, I've solved this puzzle already. If I kill a green slime or like a red flan in Final Fantasy, and then I walk further into the forest and the same red flan attacks me again, I'm like, I already did this. I did this already, so I'll just press the same buttons again. So this is kind of a waste of time. But worse, doing it the first time made me stronger. So it's actually easier now. Not only is it not a puzzle, and there's no real question of what I should do here, I'm also going to get, it's going to get easier to kill these guys every time this happens. So I'm like, and it sounds petty when I say it like that, but it's not going to just happen twice, is it? I'm going to fight that red flan 40 times in that game, aren't I? And he's not going to get any more interesting. And I'm like, why are these games designed like this? And why do people reward that approach? I don't get it. I just don't understand the appetite for that level of repetition where you're not really being tested in any real way. That just bums me out. So I just wish those games weren't done in that style. I want to be asked interesting choices. And sometimes that doesn't even have to mean that you can't have repetition. Sometimes it's about having decisions of triage, or of resource management. Like, for example, I guess third JRPG that I've also liked that isn't Japanese, the Fear and Hunger games, Fear and Hunger 1 and 2, are turn-based horror RPGs where your fucking limbs can get cut off and you have dwindling resources the whole time. And in games like those, encounters might repeat, but every individual encounter is a threat you should be worried about. And even if you're getting through them, each one is dwindling your resources that you're worried about how you're going to survive with. Like, a survival horror game is made interesting by the fact that each enemy you fight diminishes how many green herbs you have or how many bullets you have and so on and so forth. And then you have to hope to find more resources to keep up with the number of enemies and things like that. Like, there's the resource economy leads to an overriding narrative for you as a player that strings the encounters together into a combined thing that makes each of them more unique as steps of that journey. And at some point, RPGs were about that. I definitely remember playing Pokemon Red and Blue. I don't know why I said Red and Blue. Pokemon Yellow was the one I played. And having to get through a cave. And each time you fought a guy, your guys got hurt. And you had to worry about if your party was going to make it through the cave, because you had to make it from one end of the cave to the other without the party wiping, or you'd have to start over and stuff like that. There was more friction once upon a time, but just like Pokemon, my experience with JRPGs has been that largely they've excised any kind of ongoing things like that string the encounters together and make them more meaningful by either removing the part where your health has continuity between fights, or just trivializing it. It's just making it not really a big deal, so that even if you technically are still hurt after fights, it's just not that big of a deal to instantly refill it, or the game's just not that much of a threat to begin with. And so you just don't end up making these long-term decisions where you're managing and worrying about something. And that's a problem for a genre if you just remove depth and choices from something and don't replace it with something else. This game poked at that a little bit. One of your rewards for exploring was to get more and more of the resources. And so we had that special button I could hold down that would heal my entire party. And you can only use it a few times. At first, you can only use it once or twice or something. And it pretty quickly hit a point where you could actually just use it whenever you felt like it. So at the very, very, very beginning of this game, Clair Obscur felt kind of scrappy, and you had to be careful. But pretty quickly you hit a point where actually, you don't really have to worry about your resources between fights or how the party is doing. Just press the button to regenerate whenever you take any damage, and you'll probably hit the flag that regenerates everything before you have to worry about running out of your stuff again. So don't worry about it. That's not a specific complaint I have about Clair Obscur. It's just noticing that it also does not necessarily bring back that kind of friction that the older games in the JRPG genre had, that the newer ones sort of refused to. Funnily enough, I specifically remembered Enchanted Arms, which I bounced off a bit because of its friction, and that's points to why that happens, I suppose. But mostly, the game kind of seemed not very good, admittedly. But From Software did make a turn-based RPG. I mean, I'm sure they made several. But one of their turn-based RPGs back in the day was called Enchanted Arms. And I specifically remember going to the first dungeon and just kind of misjudging what the game expected of me and rapidly running out of resources and clearly needing to have done something differently. And I unfortunately never went back to experience that game better and have a more full understanding of what it's like. Maybe I'll cover it at some point on this channel. Probably not. But yeah, I like games that ask more of you. And I know that opens me up to the Let's Player curse of you just like being able to point at some point where I got stuck in any game ever and be like, no, you're a dumbass and you complained there, so your entire ethos is wrong or whatever, because that's what people do. But yeah, I still have a general distrust of playing JRPGs because they're incredibly time consuming and they usually just aren't very interesting moment to moment to play. And it's take it or leave it whether or not the story turns out to be particularly compelling. Sometimes on a regular basis, that's not especially great either. But that's more of a sweeping generalization because obviously you'll immediately think of your favorite JRPG and then think I'm talking about that one. When I'm thinking about like Shin Megami Tensei Sharp FE or TMS Sharp FE, Tales of Berseria and Zestiria, Final Fantasy 15 and Type 0. I thought those games were all pretty bad. So, that's enough of a podcast at the end, don't you think? Anyway, this has been a game that was selected by Patreon. I do a poll quarterly, before the end of each quarter, so that I can then potentially start recording a new game that Patreon voted for every quarter. So, at the beginning of January, April, July, and October, I start playing a new game that was voted for at the end of the previous month by Patreon supporters. $15 people nominate the game, and everybody else gets to vote on the games those people nominated. So I don't pick the list of games, and I don't vote on them. And it's interesting to see what gets picked. This time it was the monstrously long game that was the most popular thing in the world-ish thing, Clair Obscur. Last time it was 1000 Times Resist, a game that many of you don't know what it was and statistically did not watch because it didn't do very well. But I'm curious to see what they picked by now, probably for the next game that I would have started playing in January. Also, if you like writing in video games, go play 1000 Times Resist. 1000x Resist as like one word is how it's titled, I think, which is a messy, weird title. And it's just, there's a lot of presentational aspects to it, looking at it from the outside that would make you bounce off. But if you like writing in video games and want well-written games, you should know the story of 1000 Times Resist. It should be in your brain. So there's my final recommendation for the video is go play 1000 Times Resist. I'll die mad a little bit how little it got mentioned at the end of the year here when everyone was giving all the praise to Clair Obscur and Silk Song, I think. But yeah, thanks for watching like always, guys, and I will see you next time.